The gravel crunched under my boots. A sharp, satisfying snap with every step down the winding dirt road that cut through the pines behind my cabin. It was barely dawn, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and cedar. The kind of quiet where you could hear your own heartbeat. I'd walked this path 1,000 times. My little slice of nowhere in the North Carolina backwoods, where the nearest neighbor was a half-mile away and the only rule was live and let live. But that morning, something felt off. A faint hum, like a wasp's nest stirred up, buzzed in the distance. Then I saw it, a golf cart, gleaming white, parked crooked across my road, blocking the way to the creek. And there she was, Karen, queen of the Pine Hollow HOA, clipboard in hand, her bleach-blonde bob glinting in the weak sunlight like a warning flare. "You're on private property. Ms. Hensley," I said, my voice low but steady, the words carrying over the chirp of early crickets. Karen's eyes snapped up from her clipboard, her lips pursing into a thin, smug line. She didn't live here, not on my road. Not even close. Her McMansion was tucked in the gated part of Pine Hollow, a good mile from my 10 acres of untamed land. But the HOA had been sniffing around lately, trying to stretch their manicured claws into the backwoods, where folks like me didn't bow to their bylaws or their HOA fees. "This road," Karen said, tapping her pen against her clipboard with a click, click, click that set my teeth on edge, "is a safety hazard. Unpaved, unlit, no signage. I'm here to enforce compliance." Her voice was all syrupy authority, the kind that made you want to scream just to drown it out. Compliance. This was my road, deeded to my granddaddy back when Eisenhower was president. The HOA had no claim here, and she knew it. But Karen wasn't here for facts. She was here for control. I took a step closer, the morning chill brushing my knuckles as I shoved my hands into my jacket pockets. "You're mistaken," I said, keeping my tone even, though my pulse was ticking up. "This land's mine. Always has been. You've got no jurisdiction." Her eyes narrowed, and for a second, I saw something flicker in them, something mean, like a dog that's been kicked one too many times. She stepped forward, her sensible loafers sinking slightly into the mud, and jabbed a manicured finger toward me. "You think you're above the rules, don't you, Ellie?" she said, her voice rising, sharp enough to slice through the mist. "People like you, living out here like it's the Wild West, dragging down property values for the rest of us. I've got complaints. You know, neighbors saying this road's a danger, that you're running some kind of drug operation out here." I laughed a short, barking sound that echoed off the trees. Drugs. The only thing I was running was a small apiary, selling honey at the farmer's market. But Karen didn't care about truth. She cared about winning. I could smell the floral tang of her perfume, too strong for 6 a.m., mixing with the pine-scented air. It made my stomach churn. "You've got no complaints," I said, stepping closer, close enough to see the faint lines of Botox failing around her eyes. "You've got no authority. Get off my land." That's when the golf cart's radio crackled, a burst of static cutting through the tension. A man's voice came through, gruff and hesitant. "Karen, you there? We got a problem at the gate." Her face tightened, but she didn't break eye contact with me. She pressed a button on the radio, her voice syrupy again. "Handle it, Roy. I'm busy." She turned back to me, but the moment had shifted. I wasn't just dealing with Karen. There was someone else in the mix, someone she was leaning on. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about a dirt road. The next few weeks were a slow burn. Karen didn't let up. Every morning, I'd find her or one of her HOA minions rotating cast of polo shirt wearing busybody sparked at the edge of my property, taking photos, measuring the road, leaving tire tracks in my grass. My mailbox started filling with official-looking letters, all stamped with the Pine Hollow HOA logo, demanding I pave the road, install streetlights, or face legal action. I burned the letters in my fire pit, the paper curling into ash as I sipped my coffee and stared into the flames. But the pressure was getting to me. I'd wake up at night, heart pounding, hearing phantom engines in the distance. The quiet I'd moved here for was gone, replaced by the hum of Karen's crusade. Then came the surprise. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in bruises of purple and orange, I found a kid sitting on the split-rail fence by the road. He was maybe 16, skinny, with a mop of dark hair and a skateboard propped against his knee. His name was Caleb, and he wasn't from Pine Hollow. He was staying with his aunt, one of Karen's neighbors, for the summer. "Heard you're fighting the HOA lady," he said, his voice soft but curious, like he was testing the water. I nodded, wary, the air thick with the scent of honeysuckle and gasoline from a passing truck. "She's been talking about you at the community meetings," he went on, kicking a pebble into the dirt. "Says you're trouble. Says she's gonna get this road condemned." Condemned? My blood ran cold. I hadn't even considered that. Karen wasn't just playing petty dictator, she was aiming to take my road. My lifeline to the creek. The apiary. Everything that kept me tethered to this place. Caleb's eyes flicked to mine, and I saw something there, not pity, but a spark of defiance. "I don't think it's right," he said, almost a whisper. "She's been hassling my aunt, too. Made her repaint her mailbox, 'cause it wasn't regulation blue." I let out a long breath, the kind that carries a little piece of your soul with it. "Thanks for the heads up," I said, and he gave a shy nod before hopping on his skateboard and rolling off into the dusk. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my porch, the creak of the rocking chair keeping time with the crickets, and I thought about Karen, about her need to control, to bend everyone to her will, about how she'd underestimated me. The showdown came at the next HOA meeting, held in the community Centera sterile box of a building that smelled like lemon cleaner and desperation. I wasn't a member, but I showed up anyway, my work boots leaving faint mud prints on the polished floor. Karen was at the front, holding court in a navy blazer, her clipboard like a scepter. The room was packed 50 or 60 people, some nodding along to her speech about community standards, others looking bored or uncomfortable. I stood at the back, arms crossed, waiting. When she opened the floor for comments, I stepped forward. The room went quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like it's holding its breath. "Karen," I said, my voice carrying clear and sharp, "you've been harassing me for weeks about my road. You've got no legal claim to it. I had my deed checked, my property lines surveyed. It's mine, free and clear. So why don't you tell everyone here what this is really about?" Her face froze, but her eyes burned. "This is about safety, Ellie," she snapped, her voice tight as a piano wire. "Your road is a liability." "Bullshit," I cut in, and a few gasps rippled through the crowd. I pulled a folded paper from my pocket, a copy of the county records, showing my road was private, untouchable by the HOA. "You want control. You want to bully people into submission. But you picked the wrong fight." I turned to the crowd, my heart hammering but my voice steady. "She's been lying to you, telling you my road's a problem when she's got no power over it. And I'm not the only one she's been pushing around, am I?" That's when Caleb stood up, his hands shoved in his hoodie pockets, his voice shaking but loud. "She's been fining my aunt for stupid stuff, her mailbox, her lawn ornaments. Said she'd foreclose if she didn't comply." A murmur ran through the room, heads turning. Then another voicey, a woman, older, with a cane, piped up. "She told me my dog's barking was a nuisance. Threatened to call animal control." More voices joined in, a chorus of grievances, each one a crack in Karen's perfect facade. Karen's face went red, then white. She slammed her clipboard down, the sound echoing like a gunshot. "This is outrageous," she shouted, but her voice cracked, and for the first time, she looked small, vulnerable. The room turned on her, not with violence, but with truth. People stood, shared their stories, their frustrations. The HOA board, caught off guard, started whispering among themselves. By the end of the night, Karen was outvoted off the board in a unanimous decision, her reign of petty tyranny over. I walked home under a sky full of stars, the gravel crunching under my boots again, the air cool and clean. The road was mine, always had been, but it wasn't just about the road anymore. It was about standing up, about saying no to someone who thought they could steamroll everyone in their path. I thought of Caleb, of the old woman with the cane, of all the people who'd found their voices that night. And I smiled. A real smile. The kind that warms you from the inside out. Karen had wanted control, but she'd lost something bigger, her power to intimidate. And out here, in the backwoods where the pines whispered and the creek sang, that was justice enough.